How do you make beautiful commercials? I'm Steven. Welcome to Light Study, where I break down lighting in videos so you don't have to. Have you ever tried to break down lighting in a video and you don't know what to do? Well, I'm here to help you. So let's see what we got. This is a McDonald's commercial. I've only saw part of it, so together we will see it for the first time. See what we got. Oh, okay, cool. So already we're off to a great start here. Okay, so this is beautiful. This is backlighting, and I suspect that the entire show is going to be done this way. If you want your shots to look badass, you add contrast by doing a lot of backlighting. And so here, it's very easily obvious that they have a source. They have a source back here pushing this direction, and it's making the Coke glow, or whatever soft drink that is, and that's kind of all it is. It's just one frame. In fact, I want to say that it's probably just I wouldn't say it's a 4x4 frame. It might be like a 2x3, or maybe it's just a panel light, like a Gemini or maybe a Sky panel back there, and maybe they threw like some type of light diffusion over it, but it seems kind of small. If it were larger, this area right here would have been lit up. You would see more well, you wouldn't really see more in there, but see this line right there? That would be more softened. And so that leads me to believe that they used a straight panel light, which is fine in this situation. There's no hard reflections. It's perfect. It allows you to get your shot and then go. By the way, I'm not going to cover camera moves. There's a pretty cool crane down in this shot, which is awesome. I don't care about that. I'm concerned solely with the light of a shot, because the light is what sells it. Camera moves suck. For you operators out there. All right, so let's keep going. All right, so here's a nice shot. Oh, okay, so this is a very nice commercial look. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what they did here is, so the light is coming in from the side. Ooh. Okay, so there's a few cues that can tell us what they did that allow you to recreate or make judgments for yourself on what you can do in a situation like this. This is very easy. So they have a giant soft source. Is it soft? Is it soft? Oh, there's a few things going on. So they have, so ordinarily, so for this shot, I would have had a giant frame outside, 8x8 or 12x12. The larger it is, the more power you need to fill it. So if it's on a budget, then an 8x half grid, and then I would have done like a half grid with a heavy light through it. Again, if it's on a budget, then you're not going to be using an 18K, right? You're not. So in that case, it would be a couple like 1200 Ds. I would do 2 of them. However, in this case, that's not what they used at all. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's lit from the inside. I would say that there is a soft box. I would say it's a soft box right there. And that might be like a 600D, or maybe, 600X or something like that. It might even be a 1200. But I could probably pull that off with a 600 easy. Maybe a 1200. Depends on where they have the sky at, its IRE value. But this is definitely, I want to say that their key light on the right side of frame is coming from a softbox inside. They didn't put it outside. So again, the panel light, the softbox on the inside, I want to say it's not that expensive of a commercial, but what that's doing, so, or at least they didn't go big on the lighting gear. I should say that. So this light right here is doing this to this dude's face. All of that. And it's creating that little triangle, what some would say is Rembrandt lighting, and it's lighting up all of that part of his face. And then for her, she's getting the same treatment. There's something extra going on over here, but I'll get to that in a second. So this is the result. And there's that triangle, and it's also lighting up the eye there. So all of that is coming from this light source, which actually means that the light source is up here. And I want to say that it's not all that big. It might be a 4x4, but I want to say it's something smaller. Maybe I don't know. It might be a 4x4, or it might be a like a 4 or 5 foot softbox. If I were them, if I were to do it inside, I would probably do it with a softbox. But if you get a grip truck and it comes with just gear, you're not going to have softboxes. So in that case, it would be a 4x4, and then they would flag it off the sides. So they would have this. In that case, this would be, if they just had the gear off the truck, then this is like a 4x4. Say like 216 would be perfect, and then you would just flag off the side with let's say like a flop. And here's a stand. And so that would keep the light from going from hitting downstream. You can see how dark it is up here. So whatever they're using is just it's keeping the light off the background, and it's putting it on the foreground on these people. So there's that. You have a softbox going, which is doing this to their faces. But what else? There is a top light, I think. I want to say that there is a freaking top light up here. Oh, there it is. There's some light up there. Yeah, okay, so there's a top light up here that's coming down, and that's hitting their hair. You can't really tell on his is too dark, but you can definitely tell that she's getting hit with some blue. And I think it's the same blue that's coming from up here. So there's a top light for some reason. Maybe it's a skylight in a McDonald's. They put a top light up there. I wouldn't have done that because it's unnatural to have a light. I mean, if you have a skylight, then sure. If it's in the shot, then sure. But I wouldn't just place one up there just for no reason. There's nobody has stuff like that in their buildings. Usually you'll have side sources, which is why I would have pushed from a huge frame off to the side. But I mean, it's personal preference. So this is what they chose to do. They chose to put something up here, and probably to fill the room a little bit, to make it a little bit more light, commercially light, as opposed to moody and dark. And then on the fill side, they could have used negative. They might have used negative. In fact, I think they did use negative, now that I'm thinking about it. It's probably might have been far off. If you have a negative over here, and here's why I think they did. Because you can see the side of her face and how dark it is. Not super dark. But it's dark, and it's darker than his side of the face. See how light his face is? His face is light because it's getting hit from this top light here. Her face is darker because that top light doesn't reach. So it's something like, it's not reaching around. So it's hitting up here, and then it's cutting off. And that leaves this side of her face a lot darker than his side of the face. And so either they place negative here to give some shape, or they just left it blank. And this up here is acting on the face. With stuff like that, you can never tell 100% because the viewer only knows, I only know what the camera's seeing. I don't know what's behind the camera, what's around the camera. You can do a lot of manipulating the look of the face from what's behind the camera, but you can infer a lot based on what you see here. And so, moral of the story is, okay, this is a great reason why I wouldn't use a top light, because it makes his face look different than her face. It's unnatural. You just place that thing up there, why? Lastly, so we have, again, we have this light up here. We have a little light up here. So this is doing this stuff. Oh, and this is doing that stuff. Oh, and it stops right there. And lastly, we have a sunlight that's coming in from outside. Now this is definitely coming in from outside because you can see this is getting hit, and then this is getting hit, and this is very hot, which means that we're getting closer to that angle of reflection, or some would say angle of incidence. But it's the angle that reflects most prominently back at the camera. Yes, that is the symbol for camera. It's the universal symbol for camera. So what does that mean? That means that they have either two things. They have an artificial light out here going, and it's crapping all over the scene. Oh, funny, it's not really hitting your shoulder. Oh, see this? Her shoulder's not getting hit, but her hair is. So it's cutting off right there. That, I want to say, is an artificial light, which means that the beam itself can only reach, the beam itself is reaching from this point, and it's doing this, and it's coming over here, and it's doing that, and, it's cutting off right there. No, it's hitting right here. Okay, so the line is consistent. And then it's continuing over here, but since you don't see anything, actually, this spot is dark, but this spot is getting hit with that sunlight. Interesting. So I think it's either getting flagged, or it's like a Fresnel that was spotted in. I don't know why it wouldn't be hitting this though. It's been flagged off somehow. Either they did it, or the natural structure of the building is doing it. Oh, you know what? It might be this M that's stopping it. I'm not sure. That should be glowing, but it's definitely cutting light, and that might be what's going on over here. So that's what's happening there. It's doing all of this and hitting them, and it's creating this beautiful edge right there. Oh my gosh, it's stopping right there. And oh, look at that beautiful edge. It's creating a beautiful edge right there. Oh, edge. Contrast. Hard backlight creates contrast. If you want your shots to look awesome like that, give it backlight. Boom. And we sit down, and here we are again with the same softbox. You can see it right there in the eye. There it is. Which means that the cinematographer did a good job making sure that the eyes can be seen. Because here's the thing that I hate. Whenever people like to key their subjects like this with the softbox way up here, they'll put the softbox way up here like this, a little dome light. You know. Well, what does that do? It'll light the face, it'll light up here, it'll light right there, it'll light over here, and it will leave this dark bag under the eyes, and it'll leave that dark, and most of all, it will leave the eyes completely dead and black. So this is why this right here, this situation is a holdover from photography, and since a lot of lower budget video fixtures use photography Bowens mounts, it's understandable that they would use this setup, but you want the eye to see you want to be able to see your eye. You want that glint in the eye, and so you have to bring your source down low enough so that your eye may see it. And it does this, blah, and that's what that catch light is. What it is, I'm not entirely sure because it looks soft. Huh. Whatever. It's a softbox or something. Anyway, so that's hitting his face, and that's hitting his face. That's what's doing all of this beautifulness right here. And again, it's the same shot actually. It's the same angle. Holy crap, it is the same angle, I think, because there's that M. Why is it on the wall? I don't know why it's on the wall. Anyway, so they have their sunlight doing the same thing. And it's creating that beautiful edge. Oh my gosh. You might say that this is this. Oh, here, look at that gorgeous. You can trace this back to the point of origin. I was right. Look at that. And then here we go. See this? I want to say it was right there. Maybe not. Maybe this is, it's got to be right there. It's got to be, it's freaking there. So you might say that, hey, that's almost exactly like the shot before. And you're absolutely right. You don't have to be unique to create beautiful images. In fact, if you try to be unique, you're going to be inconsistent. So you want to be consistent by doing the same thing over and over. It sounds like a cop-out, sounds like cheating. There is wiggle room in between because every setup is different. Every location is different, but the shape on the face is the same. This one's a little bit more flat, in fact, because like I said, we have this thing going on over here, which is creating this shape on the face, but oh my gosh, look, he's filled on this side. This is an unnatural, well, it's not coming from this. It's coming from somewhere else. It's coming from that frickin' top light that we had up there. Or maybe they used a fill card to just fill him in. I don't think so, because you don't see it in his eye. You would see something. You would see something there. A ghostly shape of something square. I think it's coming from up here. Pretty sure. I hate that. All right. But that's personal preference. Again, oh, look at her shot. Oh, so much more beautiful. So here we have, and so why is it more beautiful? Here we have, again, our sunlight, same situation is coming. Hell, you can see the line right there. And then it disappears. So it does this stuff. And it's creating, oh, look at all that contrast. Oh, looks freaking awesome. Funny enough, it's not hitting her shoulder. It's only hitting, oh, there's more to this. So you see how bright it is back here. You see how bright that is. You see how bright this is. Does this look to be the same brightness as her face? You might say yes, the answer is no. What they've done here is either they've powdered her up a lot, which I seriously doubt, or, I mean, a professional makeup artist did this, but I think that what is going on is outside of frame, they have a 4x4 opal, which lightly diffuses light. It blurs light. That's the best way I can describe it. It blurs light. It's a frost. So there's two different types of diffusion. You have diffusion and then you have frost. Mechanically, there's two different types of diffusion. A diffusion and then frost. You'll have half grid and 216 and magic cloth. But it's always in two different categories, either diffusion or frost. Frost takes that light and it knocks it and it bends it. It bends it ever so slightly, and so the effect is it blurs the light, and it creates a beautiful. It just feathers. It like if you take a hot spot like this, and if you put a diffusion over that, it's just going to fill the entire frame with a slight hot spot in the middle. But if you take a frost and put it over that hot spot, what will happen is it will just make it. It'll just make it a little bit softer around the edges. And yeah, it'll fill up the frame a little bit, but it'll be so slight. It'll be so slight. So it takes this and turns it into that. And so that's the difference between a frost and a diffusion. This is a frost. embossed. And that's what they used over there, I would say, because it just softens the features on the face a little bit. And it keeps the hard light from being so harsh. From her perspective, it's not going to be so harsh. It's going to be a little bit softer, which is just enough. Oh, and look at that beautiful wrap around the face. And you can see how light it is on the hair. That's the giveaway. You can see how light it is right there. That is not the same intensity as that. And that's okay. It's typical to do something like that. It just sells the beauty of the individual that you're showing. Now, do you do that with every hard light? No. Why are they suddenly doing it with this? Well, because it's no longer backlight. And remember the previous shot with the guy, and even the two shot of them before, it was backlight. Well, here we are, and this is a side light. It's like if this is 180 degrees, and that's back, and the light's probably coming from what? This is 45. Whatever the 40. Whatever 40. 22 degrees. Off the 90. So if this is your 90 and this is your 45, then this right here is half of that. And so it's coming in between the 45 and the 180, and that's where that sunlight is. And so it's more sidey, and so which it means it's hitting the face. And so you want to soften that, especially for ladies, because you don't want their features to be more, you don't want to pronounce their features. So anyway, so we have that sunlight doing this stuff, and they've broken it with an opal, I want to say, or they have added their own fixture through an opal. So they might still have that big sun out there, and then they added a second fixture for the opal for the face. Maybe. I would have done that, because then you have more control. Yeah, and then of course they have some type of top light, as if there's sky coming through the building. You can see it you can see it right there, that top catch light. Why? I don't know, but they did that. Should you do that? That is up to you and your personal taste. I'm just showing you what they did here. And then that's hitting over here. There is a slight kick right there from a window over here. So that window is kicking off of the hair and it's creating that. That's just what that is. You don't have to place a window there. That's just the effect that happens when there's naturally a window over here. Now, why is this so filled? Well, they probably could have done a fill card, but again, look at the eye, there's nothing there. So I think that it's just a big toppy source that's doing this. No, that source is more that direction. That source is like this. It might still have enough wrap for this. I want to say that there's a fill card over here, and it's out of frame, obviously, but it's also out of sight. You know what? It might even be her hair. It is her hair. Her hair is blocking it. So there is a fill card, or there's something creating fill, whether it's a wall or a fill card, lifting this side up a lot. I wouldn't have done that because I like this shape on the face. I like that darkness right there, all of that, and it's not kept. It's not kept over here. Look how bright that is. Anyway. But it still looks beautiful. It's still commercial. You'll find that in the commercial world, you have latitude. You don't want to go too dark, but you don't want to go too flat. And this is a great middle ground. Yeah. Oh, looky there. Oh, looky there. You see this right here? That one is tattling. So obviously, right here. I got it right, didn't I? So let's compare, because these things tell you what's going on. So you see this right here. This means that there is a white card over here. Now don't look at how long it is. That doesn't mean the white card is super long. Cylinders will stretch any image that you throw at it. And so even a hard light it'll have a hot spot slightly less, and then it'll taper off. It's not a true one-to-one reflection, but this still tells you that there's something over here, and it might even be the window. No, it is not. No, it is not, because the window would reflect back here, so you would see an edge. You might actually you do see an edge. There's an edge. There's a slight edge, which is a reflection of the window over there. But this is something right 90 degrees to her. It is 90 degrees that way. There's a 4x4 white card casting fill right over there. Holy crap. Now, let's look at the other side, because this is where it gets fun. Do you see on the right side how sharp this line is? You see how sharp that is? Because the white card is sharp. The white card is just a 4x4 card that's held up in space, and so it's going to reflect the edges. However, on this side, there's a hot spot in the middle, which is expected because it's taking this hard source and softening it, which is what I said before, because this is a hard source and this cylinder is stretching it. It's stretching it down here. Now there's a hot spot right there, and you can see it kind of tapering off. But look at the edges, how it's feathering. You see those feathers? It's feathering on the other side. Yeah. That is due to a frost. It could be a light diffusion, but I would say that it would be, I would have used a frost, because frost keep the beam of the light. If you put a thing here and you have a beam, the beam, once it hits this frost, it just kind of blurs it a little bit. If you have a diffusion here and that beam hits that diffusion, it will do this shit. It'll go all over the place. So that's the difference, and so a frost preserves the beam, and so you can see how fuzzy that is compared to how sharp this is. They used a frost on this side to intercept their sunlight, or they added another sunlight inside to hit the frame for her face only, which is what I would do, because it makes it more controllable. You're not dependent on the light that you place all the way out there. It might not even reach that far. Maybe there's stuff blocking it, so you always want to save your ass light. So there's that shot. That's cool. And he's got the same thing as before, so that's the same thing. Again, look how sharp this backlight is. That is not cut by any frost. They don't need to, because it's behind him. Okay, so let's move forward. Same shot. Oh, here we go. Oh, interesting. So that, oh, here we go. This one's better. That is the frame that's intercepting that sunlight, but then this right here is this top light that I was talking about, but it seems like there's a break in the middle, and I don't know why. It could be, maybe that's an arm holding the light up. So maybe they have an arm that's holding a light, but because it's so long, I don't know. So that means it's not a softbox. It's not a softbox. It's something else. It might be just like it might be like a light mat or something, but, and then they have an arm holding it underneath. I'm not sure, but always look at the eyes. They can give you a lot of information. And then here we go. You see this sharp edge right there? It's very faint. It's faint because it's not powered. What is it? It is a fill card, which is the same reflection as what's right there. There is a fill card off to the side. It's just a fill card. By not powered, I mean they didn't poke a light at it. No. This is a natural fill from the source over here. There's a source over here that is either a window or an artificial source. And it's taken that and it's bouncing off of this and it's just pushing it back, bouncing off of this, and it's just pushing it back, and that's what's causing all of these reflections. By all of these reflections, I mean this one and that one. Oh, there's two. Right there, there's another white card, which means, yeah, there it is. There's another white card. So, and this is typical when you're doing product shots. Your camera's in the middle. There's that universal camera symbol. Here's a little handle for you sticklers. And you'll have a white card on one side. You'll have a white card on the other side. It just looks like this left side is getting much more push because it's collecting the light from this back source. It's clearly shooting this direction. And because this card over here is angled in, a lot of that light's going to be shooting right past it. And that's it. I mean, there's something here. I can't tell if it's coming from the top or if it's from this window. It's too blurry to see. There's definitely a window over here that's doing this stuff. And then, oh, look at that. There is a top light, something up here. There's another one. Because it's ugly, I'm going to say that is... It's intentional. It's not ugly. It's not... I think it's ugly because it's a different color. But I also don't do unnatural placements of lights. Like something right over the food. But since you're selling food, you're gonna have to anyway. It's just some of the pros and cons of shooting. You get to shoot cool stuff, but sometimes you get to shoot it in an uncool way. You gotta show off your product, bro. Is that showing up here? Yep, look, right there. You'll see, it's right there. There it is, right there. Boom. Which is a reflection of this up here. So they have a back source, they have a top source, and then they have some white cards to fill. This is as standard and run-of-the-mill as you can get. I don't mean anything negative or bad when I say run-of-the-mill. Like I said, don't try to reinvent the wheel. You're not gonna. What works is what works. And that's part of being the cinematographer, is finding the best solution for what works. Best not being the most gorgeously beautiful thing that you as an artist can conjure up with every bit of grip and lighting gear that you have. No, that means you shoot what's appropriate for the product. Excuse me. And that's it. You only do what you have to do, and you'll know when you should do more. You will know. Your budget will tell you so. Sometimes, this is McDonald's, and their budget is not that. What they used for the capture of this, for the lighting of this, what they used for the lighting of this show is not expensive. You could do this with a couple $1,000s worth of lighting gear. Looky there. Oh, frack this. Oh, that's gorgeous. So this. Oh, wow. You see all of this. See all of that spackling. Oh! You have little spackles there. Spackles. Obviously, the light's coming from over here. And obviously, it's not soft. It is a beautiful, beautiful hard light. And it's white. That is white light. There you go. And it's doing this stuff. you can see this gorgeous edge. Now, you might have thought, oh wow, they got it pretty close, because you can see how this cream is white, but it's not very bright. This is bright. This is not bright. Also, the Sprite is not as bright either. So these two are suffering from the fall off of having, ooh, well maybe not, because this right here. So how would they have done that? Because this is hot, this is hot, this is hot, this is hot. This is not, and this is not. Maybe they flagged this off with a net, which is it's literally bobbinet. Don't let people tell you otherwise. It's literally bobbinet. None of the production rags are unique except for Magic Cloth, I think. I'm certain that's a blackout curtain, but I don't know for sure. So it's literally bobbinet, and that's what, if you had, like, I wouldn't have done that, but, and this is not here's the thing. The DP might not would have done that, or he would have. So there's two different ways that you can do this, because you have your sun is shooting in. Like, if you're like me, you'll say, hey, whatever happens, happens. It's a natural source. It's going to do what it do. Let it ride. But then some people would say, like maybe some clients would look at this and say, can we knock that white part down? It's just a little too bright, and so you end up having to appease them by placing a little net right here, just to keep that, just to knock that down, or to knock down the Sprite, or knock down both of them in one go, right? And then while the rest of it rides a little hotter. Or the other scenario is the DP does that because he's bored, or perhaps ego. I don't know. The ego might be a bad word, but it is a true word, and it does happen, and I fight it all the time, and you have to be aware of that. But you have to understand, just because you have stuff doesn't mean you have to use it. And so by having knocked this down, it's not as eye-popping as this side over here, right? Look at this, look at that. Oh my gosh, it's freaking gorgeous. And then look at this right over here. It's dead. It's a big, unhappy face. So whoever made that decision, you are the reason why it looks that way. But like I said, there's wiggle room. There's no absolute good or bad. There's horrible and horrible, and then you can live anywhere in the middle. And so that's why this still works, and the client liked it. There you go. Oh wow, there's more to this shot. Oh, check it out. So you see this purple right here? That's called veiling. That is whenever a light source hits the lens, and then the light bounces around in the elements of the lens. And then it acts like what you would, kind of like how a frost acts, where you have your hot spot right here, and then everything around it is kind of, it veils, and then it tapers off. So there's the hot spot. It's in view of the lens somewhere up here. Let's see what we got. Oh, could that be that top light? No way. Look at that. Look at that gorgeousness. Oh, OMG. Now, that may be a part of this McDonald's. It may not. I don't know. But it's awesome, however they did it. Here's the thing though, like, if you're doing this shot, then you want to recreate this. If you have a shot like this, like I'm talking about, like this stack of things, the stack of things, and you want to recreate this because you saw this commercial, and it's a good commercial. If you don't have to recreate this thing up here. The guys that shot this, it could have happened two ways. One, they said, hey, I need a honeycomb crate that's glowing right above all of that stuff. And so they spend days building it, hiring people to build it, and then they light it. Or the location just had this here and they took advantage of it, and that's the better way, because it saves time, it saves money, being inventive. And so take that for what you will. That doesn't mean that you should go out of your way to try to recreate something like this. That means that you should be aware of some cool shots that you can get with what you have. So let's see what we got. Well, obviously this top light is playing on it. And it's playing on it very well. You don't see a lot of the bright stuff in here because of the honeycomb effect. It acts like an egg crate, and so, but it is playing. Is it playing? It might not actually be playing all that much. It might be pretty dim. I think it is dim. I don't think it's actually playing that much. It's lifting up this area. It's lifting up that area, but then see how dark that is? It's tapering off pretty fast, which means it is not as bright up here as I thought, which means this is probably, I don't know, that doesn't matter. What matters is, because you can see here, see how well exposed the windows are? That means that this would have to be super bright in order to compete with these windows, you know, and that's no. Why would you do that? Why would you do that when you can just push light in from behind camera, which is what they did? That's how come you can see all of this stuff. Ooh, okay, so you see a dark spot right there. Okay, so let's try this again. You see a dark spot right there. There's a dark spot right there. Darkness. Darkness. Oh, oops. That's not darkness. 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 You can barely see it. There's darkness right there. There's less so right there. And then we have brightness. Brightness. Brightness right there. So what's happening is there is some type of source over here that's just going, and they did nothing to the left side. They did nothing. There's nothing over here. Oh, look, there's a flare. It's from that hard source. Now look at these. You have a thingy there. You have two thingies. Oh, they have two thingies. What does that mean? I don't know. I think it means that there is a frame back here, and maybe there's something right here. And of course, what do you have in the middle? You have your camera, then you have your operator that's creating this, which could create two shapes. I mean, I don't know for sure. You don't ever know, but that looks like a body shadow to me. So that's what that is. And then end graphic. All right, fantastic. That was so that is a prime example of commercial lighting that works. And that shows that, it sounds so bad. That shows that you don't have to be a genius to be able to light something appropriately, by just attacking each situation and saying, okay, I need level over here, I need to level over here, and I have, you know, it's probably a 1 to 2. I don't remember the ratios anymore. Like this, the fill side's like 1 stop under, which is a very light and very commercially look, very generalized commercial look. If you're counting exposure steps from one side to the other. Yeah, so there you go. That was a good commercial. It was well done, well shot, and I love the camera moves. Oh my gosh. It's fantastic. Yeah. They did a good job. beautiful job, guys. And so now you have an idea of how you could shoot a commercial with a limited budget, because this is, as far as what you can do, like as far as replicating this, you can do it on a limited budget easy with those fixtures. Here, I'll even show you one more time. You could do this with a, I would say if you had to, you could do it with the 1200D. Although I think Nanlite has like a 12, is it 1200? I think they have like a 1200 like X equivalent. I'm not a Nanlite fan, but I know their fixtures are really good. I just don't have any other stuff. I'm not familiar with it. But Nanlite has they have a daylight, they have a bicolor, and I believe they have a color version, whereas Aperture only has daylight. So I would go with Nanlite if you were to purchase stuff, 100%. The only downside to Nanlite is they don't have the they don't work with the Citus Link, which is the Aperture app, and Aperture is ubiquitous. Everybody has Aperture, and so your lights, if you were to have Nanlite and somebody were to rent it or borrow it, it wouldn't mix with the ecosystem. Anyway, so I would do this with a 1200D if I absolutely had to. That would be the Sun. Frack. You couldn't do that. It would have to be a 2400. What is it, an X or a C? I can't remember. But with Nanlite, the 1200, as long as you have 1200 watts of color, not 1200 watts and then throw a gel on top of it, that's going to cut your light in more than half. So this would be for the sunlight. And then for the key light, I would go for a 600. I would always go for an X, because an X gives you a little bit more latitude. But again, whenever you go in between, you're going to get that, you're going to be less white in between. So at 4300, I think you're more green. You're more green. So a Nanlite version would be I think they have a 750. And again, they have the color, they have the daylight, and then they have the X version. So another point for Nanlite. And then for the light matte, I don't know. I would get like a, you know who makes a good light matte? Who makes a good light matte? Light matte, I guess. They make a good light matte. So it's like a light matte 4. Matte 4, which is expensive. An alternative would be, I don't know. There's lots of them. I think I saw something that's like 6 panels. That was called I think it was called a Walla light. Who did that? Wall-O light. I think it was ITE. Not to be confused with KinoFlow, which is an old thing. It was, who was it? It was I don't remember. Anyway, so those 3 fixtures, and then like some white cards, like 2 4x4 white cards, styrofoam, or you can get my personal favorite are 2 ultra flops. Oh shit. Ultra flops. Ultra flops are fantastic. And the ultra flops are great because when you can put them on, here's your stand. You can put it on your stand, and you can arm it out. You can arm the ultra flop out at an angle over your character, and then you can flop it down here, and you have this nice little curve over their field of view, which is great. You obviously, you can get the same shape up here with a 4x4, but it doesn't have a flop, so ultra flop is excellent for that. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got something out of that. If you like what you saw, then stick around, because this is all I'm gonna do. Looking at light. Later.